George, we are honored that you came here today to speak to us, and we very much look forward to what you're having to say to us. Ladies and gentlemen, George Logothetis.
Danke, Stefan. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. So, my very first trip to Hamburg was in 1991, when at the age of 16, I spent 2 months here working at a ship chandler's called Friedrich Sänger and a ship agent's called Arnold Peters. It is therefore a most particular honor for me to address you all here today, as I've felt a very strong emotional bond with Hamburg ever since. My father spent many years working here. My grandfather used to stay and have meetings at the Hotel Atlantic many years ago. And I have learnt so very much from this city, this community, and indeed, this country. Now, one of these lessons came from one of my first business experiences with a German bank back in 1996, which very much set the tone for our future relations here. So we had done a financing with one of the major banks, and the bank trusted my family and me with what felt like a huge amount of money back then. And when it was time for the loan to be drawn, the bank advanced the money without having the loan agreement signed. Of course, that's something which would never happen today. But it was neither foolhardy nor naive. It was the way business often got done in the past. Human trust, old school business way, my word is my bond. Now, interestingly, when I heard that the loan had been dispersed, it placed even more responsibility onto our shoulders. Our duty to the bank and banker rose in the elevator of moral authority. We felt absolutely honored, ironically even burdened by the gesture that the bank made. The debt was not just monetary, it was also moral. And that relationship has blossomed into one of our best and most trusted banking relationships, encompassing many industries and many countries. So, small acts of kindness and empowerment go a long way. And the reverse is also true. So trust counts. A handshake matters. So now in the modern world, we're very much in an age of models, computers. I ask you this. Does a model measure integrity? Can a model evaluate instinct? Can a model detect decency? Now, I'm not saying we don't need models, but a model cannot guide you as to the ability of a ship owner to navigate crises and prosper against all the odds. At the end of the day, there is a borrower and a lender. And character on both sides count. So I think we need to be careful not to over-dilute these precious values of the past, not to solely see life through the lens of a computer model, and thus not to take into account the qualities of people, families, the value of honor, and the code of ethics that still governs many people in the industry today. Perhaps we should not be governed solely by what is possible, but also by what is right. For when the crisis is behind us, we will all be left with the legacy of our behavior during it. Are bridges burnt, or are bridges built? Friends, as we all know too well in this room, shipping is a business that tends to sound a lot more glamorous than it feels, but feels a lot more stressful than it sounds. And this is particularly true when crisis hits. And as we all know well, there has been no shortage of that these past years. Yet crisis can indeed give birth to opportunity. No crisis endures into perpetuity. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we at Libra have had many crises of our own. This is natural, to be expected. But the more difficult it became for us, the more we reminded ourselves consciously that we are defined as humans by difficulty. We are defined by the difficult times, not the easy ones. How do you convert pain into progress? How do you give despair a direction? Even find meaning to suffering, and do it with a smile on your face. So, is a crisis an excuse to surrender to cynicism? Or is it an opportunity to redouble one's positivity and one's pride? For when one is not believed in, it can actually sometimes be more effective than being believed in. Not being believed in can motivate us, fortify us, unite us, and importantly, fuel us. Being believed in creates confidence. But we need both confidence and motive to move forward. Now, our industry has been a viciously cyclical one since time began. And I personally don't see that changing anytime soon. Ironically, one of the major drivers of that cyclicality is us, humans. Our strengths and our weaknesses drive the waves of commerce up and down. Fear and greed, arrogance and humility, love and hate. I think it's only once we have computer chips in our brains to regulate human behavior will that ever change. So therefore, one of our core tenets as a group is to look at business and cycles more through the lens of psychology than analysis. People still drive markets, not computers. Sentiment counts. People count. Your word counts, especially in this business. So, what do you do when the wolf of difficulty comes howling at your door? Stand up and confront? Or back down and cower? Contribute to solve the problem? Or complain that there is no solution? Become emboldened or become embittered? Now, at the end of the day, if we are not challenged, we will not change. And in the long run, it is rarely the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, endure, and prosper. It is the most adaptable. We must change We must adapt. We must stay ahead of the curve of invention and innovation. And always have the presence of mind to remind ourselves that one does not become strong from winning. Strength comes from adversity, hardship, difficulty. Paradoxically, winning can actually sow the seeds of arrogance and complacency. So, the starting point when we set up Libra was that it was going to be impossible. And this was purposefully done to ensure and enhance constant mental agility from the very beginning. For we knew this would keep us sharp, flexible, impose impossibility on us daily. We also empowered underdogs with empathy. We gave opportunity to many who lacked it. And then we proceeded to set the bar of expectations on the leadership at the highest levels. At the same time, we've always tried very hard to preserve humility and encourage humanity. Now, the other crucial piece of the original architecture behind the creation of Libra was the intentional diversity of businesses we entered into. The idea being that the competing information from different industries would highlight to us more clearly where we were in the cycle of each individual industry. A lot of different information can provide perspective. So, very simply put, in 2005, shipping was high, aviation was low. That was clear to us because we were in both industries and we had a helicopter view. Our thoughts were not burdened by the aviation depression, but at the same time, not unduly blinded by the high shipping rates. So we sold ships and we bought planes. And today, within our transport division, we are doing the reverse and have been for some years, selling planes and buying ships. Now, crucially, beat the cycle and lose the market. You don't want to beat the market and lose the cycle. History is written far too late to be of use in the midst of a crisis, and it is only hindsight that is precise. Now, having said that, there is a degree of inherent safety which accompanies you when buying in a bad market. Less so when buying in a good market. Now, I've always seen Hamburg as the container ship capital of the world, perhaps in the same vein that Piraeus is the dry bulk capital of the world. And as we all know too well, we're living an Armageddon in the dry market, but a new dawn in the container market. Many years of crisis coming to an end. The winds of change are blowing in a structurally positive way. Confidence is returning. Sentiment has changed. And we believe we have a long, positive way to go. Now, turning to Greece and Germany. Despite the headlines, there are so many examples that I can think of German and Greek companies working so well together under conditions of mutual respect and integrated cultural links. All of us read constantly about the Greek bonds, the financial situation, but we hear rarely about the social crisis that Greece is enduring. I can tell you it is pervasive, and clouds of hopelessness are perpetual on an undeserving population. Mountains of misery and wells of despair are there to be seen. But I would like to share with you the faces I see and the voices I hear. We are very proud of the social programs that Libra runs, especially the internship program, which takes over 100 young kids per annum. So, ladies and gentlemen, how can anyone remain passive when a young 20-year-old Greek student in our internship program comes up to me, thanks me with tears in her eyes for having given her the opportunity to have had the opportunity? How can you stay quiet when a young girl who was interning in one of our hotels in Asia breaks down and starts crying whilst telling me that her entire family have lost their jobs and that she, as a result of the internship program, is the last hope of my family, Mr. Logothetis? Well, I tell you how you react. You do what you can to help more, to dip into the renewable reservoir of energy to which all humans have access to when they believe in what they're doing. Belief is the liquid energy to keep us going and going. Belief is the beginning of exiting any crisis, being a social crisis in Greece or a shipping crisis. So, ladies and gentlemen, the main principle of inspiration that has governed my life and belief system is a very famous and well-known quote from 203 BC. Fortuna audaces juvat. Fortune favors the bold. Bold is what many shipping companies have had to be to survive. Bold is what Columbus had to be to give us all the legacy we all own today. Bold is what we now need to be to rise and recover from this crisis. So, let us be bold. Thank you.